Tell us a little bit about your business. What do you do?
Cool. Okay. Well, we're talking diving tonight, right?
Yes.
All right. So I'm a diving instructor, scuba diving instructor, and I teach scuba diving. I've got a team that work with me teaching scuba diving, and then I have a retail store selling courses and diving equipment on William Nicol Drive in Fourways. And so our business is scuba diving, whether it's training, equipment, sales, and travel to local travel and to live destinations. So that's our business.
Dived before.
Okay.
Starting with the tough questions, eh?
No. We're fortunate in South Africa to have really great dive destinations locally. So we have Sudwana Bay, which is on a coast right up north near Mozambique. It's spectacular diving. And as we go down the coast, I mean, Africa only, there's great diving off Durban, of Portland, just diving. So just off our coast, amazing diving. I would say Mozambique. It's diving. Bit of time in Thailand. Well, actually, a lot of time in Thailand. My favorite spots. There's a lot of there. We do to Egypt. Strange enough, people think desert, but all desert. The Red Sea, Sinai Peninsula is spectacular dive. Dived Indonesia, Asia, and my back. I'd love to go.
So brilliant. A lot of places you haven't want to go.
Many. Maldives, Zanzibar, Mauritius, Seychelles, Lagoon, Bikini Atoll, Great Barrier, Indonesia, destinations I want to do.
Yeah. And affected everything here. Like, how's it?
Look, the impact on business is massive. In that the shop is physically closed right now. You know, we closed for lockdown. We've got a couple of seasons, so it's very seasonal. Obviously, busier in summer than it is in winter. Our winter is our industry accustomed to that. A lot of and that's when in places that we June just have a number of international trips scheduled. 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be in Egypt. August, we like to take a group to Thailand. Got something unique or great. So lockdown has affected. We lost all our at that time. Normally Easter time we travel. We lost that, and now we having international. So and have to up and get it comes up.
People can still order stuff on scuba diving stuff online.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm still getting requests and selling equipment on a daily basis. On this lockdown, we can open our store from tomorrow, but my other businesses are taking my time, and I think we will do that on an appointment only. And, we still get in requests for equipment daily, weekly, and making some sales. But what we'll do is our main channel is our Facebook page. And if anyone wants to learn about diving, about the travel, about equipment, get hold of us via Facebook and via Messenger. We do visits by appointment, and we go from there. And diving is very personal. You got to have a lot of trust and faith in the people you train under and dive with, and we build relationships with every one of our customers. So it's not just a walk-in and buy relationship. We have relationships with every customer, and they know who we are. We know what they do, and so our base, we've been growing for years. If they wanted something,
actually you had sorry to interrupt you. I saw you actually have celebrity diving with you guys. That lady from is it Dingo or Igoli or something?
Latoya. Yeah, we had Latoya Makwena with us. Early this year, we trained Nicole Kappa and Rob Bentele. So the winner of Survivor South Africa and the runner-up Nicole, we trained them both. If you go back on our Facebook page, on the Josie Divers Facebook page, there's a lot of video there. So yeah, we're always looking to train up people that have influence, because diving is for us is a mission. It's not just a sport we do now. There's a lot of eco that fits in the background. We're advocates for the ocean, and so any high level profile personality, whether it's national, international, we want to get them in the water and introduce them to the world. So yeah, anyone out there, and if you're a celebrity and you want to learn to dive, get hold of us. We do really good deals for celebrities and well-known people and get them in the ocean.
Yeah, I'm next.
Well,
go for it.
I'm watching the comments here, and there's someone that says, "Where do you dive in Johannesburg?" It's a good question, because a lot of our training happens here. So we have a few quarries that we dive in. So mining quarries that are filled with water. We got one out on Henley Klip out towards Vereeniging called Bass Lake. We dive there regularly. And there's another quarry out past Hardebeespoort Dam called Miracle Water. So those are our two training sites. We have a few inland sites that we travel to, natural caves, dolomite caves that are open. So we've got a few places around here we dive.
How clear is that water, though?
Depends on the day, but clear enough. 8 to 10 meters. We call it visibility. 8 to 10 meters visibility on a local site. It's enough. It's good enough. In the ocean, you're looking at a 10 to 20 meter range.
On a good day, or is that on general?
On a good day, yeah. There's a lot of visibility, weather currents. There's a lot of things that can affect the visibility on a dive.
Greg, I see somebody asked as well, do you have a branch in Cape Town?
I wish. If I had a branch in Cape Town, I'd be living there right now, and I wouldn't be in Johannesburg. I love Cape Town, and I love diving Cape Town. We have a number. There are dive stores throughout Cape Town, both sides of the ocean of Cape Town, both oceans, and the diving there is spectacular. And a lot of people think, okay, the water's cold. So the water is cold, but you wear the right thermal protection, the right wetsuits or dry suits. Absolutely spectacular. It's very different to diving the more tropical reefs we have on the east coast and into Mozambique. But diving through the kelp, lots of little sharks and everything, it's different. It's very, very different diving. If anyone wants to dive Cape Town, we've got a lot of friends out there that we dive with. We can recommend. We can point you in the direction of a good dive store there. Yeah.
Brilliant.
What did you want to ask?
So obviously now because of lockdown, you've lost lots of revenue. But
I'm fortunate there. It's not my only business, and because it's my passion, I spend a lot of time in it. But I fortunately have other businesses, or some of them. So yeah, we've definitely lost revenue, but we certainly can ride the wave and pick it up in summertime again. A lot of our trips that we have booked just get postponed till a later date. And if there's one thing that I know will happen as soon as we're allowed to, is the divers will come back, because they've missed diving, and they've missed the social aspect of it too. So
actually remembered now.
Gotcha.
What I wanted to actually ask you. So you've been diving for how many years now?
I need to do maths.
Well, roughly.
I started January 96, so over 24 years.
Okay. So
yeah, I've been diving a long time.
I've been out of school.
Yeah.
How old was Courtney, your daughter, when she started diving?
Oh, wow. Okay, so I've got 2 children. Courtney is turning 20 this year, and Christopher's turning 18 this year. They both started diving at 8 years old. So when I say diving, from a training or standards wise, at 8 years old you can start doing some pool work with the children, but 10 years old is the age that they can do a physical open water diver course. So my kids were just lucky. When Courtney's my daughter, when she was 8 years old, we were living and working in Phuket in Thailand at that time. So she got to do her first ocean dives off Phi Phi Island in Thailand. First dive, second dive of Phuket Island, and then by the time she turned 10, we were back here in South Africa. So both of my kids learned the moment they could, 10 years old. 18 is the youngest age you can be an instructor. So when Courtney turned 18, she's now a paid instructor. She's part of the teaching team we have.
Fantastic stuff. So obviously over the 24 years, have you noticed changes within the ocean? Obviously, we've all. So especially in South Africa, Thailand. Yeah, Carl.
Comment, Greg.
I'm going to come back to that answer now. I just want to look in the comments here. Daryl Fry, what would a basic dive course cost today? Daryl, you're looking at about $5,000, about $5,000 for an open water course with various different agencies. That's your basic course. Do
you rent the stuff out just for a basic course for people to start?
Yeah. I mean, I've got we call that school gear. We have enough school gear to train 20, 30 people at one time. So I prefer to teach people to dive first. And then once they've learned to dive and enjoy it, then let's start investing in dive gear, as opposed to investing in dive gear and then they've bought the wrong gear or whatever. So you're asking about the changes in the ocean. Absolutely. Sadly enough, there's been a lot of changes. We'll break it down to a couple of different areas. Firstly, pollution and debris, marine debris, we call it. So plastics is a major issue in the ocean. So anything that washes through our rivers into the ocean ends up, your coral reefs that fringe a lot of our dive sites, they act as filters almost to the shore. So a lot of plastic ends up on the reefs, a lot of sediment. So as we lose natural vegetation along the coastline to development, more sediment goes into the ocean, plastics, pollutions, and that definitely has a massive effect. That's the one area. And unfortunately, in South Africa now, most of our areas that we have a lot of reef have been declared protected marine areas. So they are quite well protected as far as fishing is concerned, etc. The other area, and this is a major one, is the finning of sharks, the catching and finning of sharks. And that's massive. The numbers are staggering. If we just take a look at sharks, and sharks are our friends in the ocean. They are the apex predators, and if we take out the apex predators in any environment, you're going to get an imbalance in that environment, and then you've got problems. Sharks, unlike a lot of other fish, have a very late maturity rate. So before they will start reproducing, on some sharks is 7 or 8 years or maybe longer. And then a lot of these sharks have very long gestation periods as well. And so when they start taking out large numbers of sharks, you're taking out very big population, and they can't regenerate that quickly. So there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of sharks that are being fished and finned. When we say finned, they're caught, the fins are chopped off, and the carcass is thrown overboard.
Alive.
Yeah. And so if you say, have I noticed differences? Yes, we are seeing less sharks on our dives, and sharks and rays and many other animals. So we definitely have, there's a lot of people working hard against this now, and we're starting to see the fruits of all the hard work everyone has put in. We've got more that are protected now by CITES. We've got bigger marine protected areas. We've got governments that start understanding that the value of a shark in the water is far greater from a tourism point of view on the fins off to China. Yeah, correct. So, a shark that's finned is worth $50. The fins are worth $50 to the person who catches it and fins it. But that shark in the ocean with tourists coming to dive and see it, it's worth tens of thousands of dollars over time. And so we're starting to see that. So that's the marine ecology is a big part of our business of what we do. If you haven't dived, it's an amazing experience. It's different to anything you've ever done. It's wow. It's wow.
Like going into space, Greg.
Well, I mean, the closest we compare it to, we get you weightless in the water. So you can experience weightlessness diving, because we call that neutral buoyancy. I'm just watching comments here. Gentle inflatables. Any fish bite you while diving? Yes, but small ones, so it doesn't matter. You do get fish a little bit territorial, give it a little nip as you swim past them, but no, generally all 10 fingers.
And 10 toes.
I'm not going to take my shoes off now to show you that.
I
like Chad's comment. Sorry, Ruth. He says, Greg, ain't it funny? You've been diving 24 years and only now you meet the sirens.
Yeah, well, Laura I've known for a long, long time. Hey, Laura. It's we're getting back to diving. It's phenomenal. It's an amazing experience, and you should all try it one day. I see. Is the acidification of the oceans not more urgent problem that needs to be tackled? So there's many things going wrong in our environment right now. Anything that washes into the ocean, from whatever it is, factories or waste or byproduct, is bad. So what affects coral reefs is more temperature change. If you coral reefs are, even though these are structures and organisms that have been around for tens or hundreds of thousands of years, they live in a range of temperature. So if you've got sudden fluctuations of temperature, and this is where global warming comes in, that is a problem. So you got to take quite a few steps.
Global warming, Greg?
Sorry?
Have you seen a big change with global warming in the 24 years?
Well, we've certainly had blooms of temperature. So you got to go back quite a few steps and understand what coral is. Because we talk mostly the structure where all the animals live is basically coral reefs. If that's what we mostly dive is on coral reef. And corals are actually a living organism. It's not a plant that grows. It's actually it's an organism that grows on top of an organism, etc. And there's a symbiotic relationship with the organism, which is the coral, and then the organisms that live within it. So the zooanthellae is an organism that lives inside the coral, and then they've got this relationship where the coral provides protection and nutrients, and the zooanthellae basically lives off the nitrates and photosynthesizes and cleans the coral and provides oxygen. And so when you get big changes, a quick change in temperature, more than what the corals use, then they usually expel the zooanthellae, and then the corals then start to die in the nitrate that they produce, and then that's when they call it bleaching, where the coral turns white. So we do see that, we see corals that the conditions bad. There's many reasons that corals can be affected. If you take Mauritius, for example, it's a fantastic place, but they did a lot of bad fishing and a lot of coral mining for their reefs took quite a knock, but they back very, very fast. And we're starting to see very great areas of Mauritius. It's fantastic diving, but it's just a reminder of how fragile these reef systems can be. So, yeah, I mean, with global warming comes other natural phenomenons, earthquakes, tsunamis, stuff like that, and that all has an effect. Absolutely.
If I can just ask, sorry, La. So also with oh God, the thought's gone out of my head. I hate it. I hate it. And it was on the tip of my tongue. 1 second.
Okay, while you think of that, let's look at the clock.
No, okay.
What's it?
So obviously, yes, last night we had the launch with Tesla and all of that, and that was exciting.
I watched that, and I watched the very first shuttle launch back in 1981, and it was as exciting. It was truly amazing.
Didn't they unfortunately crash? Didn't one crash at one stage?
Of the shuttles, two have.
Yeah. But
the very first one that launched in 81 was Columbia. The Challenger was the first one that blew up on launch, and then I think it was Columbia itself that came apart in one of the re-entries, and that's when the USA stopped space travel. So this is their first rockets that they've launched into space from the USA. Now, it was amazing to watch. I really enjoyed it.
And the rocket came back down. That's such a win, eh?
Well, that's their 50th time or 51st time that their rockets have come back and landed back. So SpaceX, in the last couple of weeks, been watching the documentaries and stuff. SpaceX has been sending regular rockets to the space station. This is the first time it's been they've sent people in it. So truly amazing. And to think that's a South African, Elon Musk, that was his dream, that he's got that right. So truly amazing.
Do you have the same sort of fervor for space that you do diving?
Well, I've lost you guys on the screen, so I'll just keep talking. So, oh wow, I mean, space, that's just way out of price bracket for me. I'll focus on the ocean. I can afford that. There's a lot to explore. Look, I think space travel is, like I said, I watched the Columbia launch in 1981 live on TV. It was big, and then watching this last night, just a lot of memories and truly amazing to see these guys going to space. I mean, it would be incredible, but I think not in my lifetime.
No. Laura, is there any comments?
I just wanted to jump back. You were saying about sharks, they only start reproducing in about 7-8 years.
Yeah. Remember, there's 1,000.
How many sharks do they give birth to? Or does that depend per species?
That depends on the shark. There's over 15,000 different sharks and rays are related. There's over 15,000 different shark and ray species. Sorry, 1,500. And so some sharks give live birth to pups. So like your ragged tooth shark is a common shark off our coastline. we dive with them. They'll give birth to 2 pups. And that is something like a 9 months, 10 months gestation period. And so a ragged-tooth shark, if I stand to be corrected, will reach sexual maturity at about 7 years of age, and then it's a long gestation period where they'll give birth to live pups. Other sharks will lay eggs, and then I think that the numbers are a little higher there. That's what they call a mermaid's purse, a shark egg. So if you dive Cape Town, you can dive in the kelp and you can see those mermaid's purses. It's quite amazing. So different sharks, different numbers. Yeah. The long line is that the Chinese trawlers have off the east coast of Africa right now target a specific type of shark. They're targeting blue shark, makos, etc. And those sharks are getting taken out the water and sold as fish, sent to Australia of all places, where it's sold as fish and chips, flake and chips. There was a carte blanche episode on that a couple of weeks ago that got the whole of the world. Wait a minute, we're all pointing fingers at China as but now we've got a country like Australia that they've protected their sharks because their population's been decimated, and now they just come to our coastline of Africa and fish out our sharks so they can have fish and chips. So it's a lot of it is awareness now, just creating awareness and making noise, and because I think a lot of Australians sitting in Australia don't know what they're eating. They don't know that they're eating shark, for one thing, and that a shark has been fished by the Chinese trawlers off the east coast of Africa, and we're gonna create a problem there. So a lot of it is education and awareness.
In fact, most people, sorry, La, if you think any meat, if it's got a sticker on it that says bies, and kyk jy weer, and I said donkey. Like, people actually don't know the difference. They don't. I mean, I think there was that whole horse pie scandal like about 10 years ago where they were putting horse into bloody everything, And I mean, of course, the biggest joke with the whole Chinese thing is like a cat and cat chow mein, you don't, and it's so bloody cheap. So you think to yourself, but now, what is it actually?
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm running through the comments now. Who is Gentle Inflatables? You must have a name.
That's a lady. That's a lady
who lives in Cape Town.
Okay, so I'm just going to run through, if you don't mind, some of them here. Are diving tanks heavy? Yes, they are. They weigh about 15 kilos. But once you're in the water and you've got all your dive equipment on, we have equipment called buoyancy control device, which you add air to, and it makes it weightless. So you don't have to carry the weight on that. So then, best place to dive in South Africa. Wow, I have a few best places. So the Allewal Shoal, depends what you want to be. I love Cape Town. I love diving Cape Town. I love diving the place called the Allewal Shoal, which is just south of Durban. And I love Sodwana. But then again, I love Protea Banks, which is off Shelley Beach and Margate too. So a lot of places. Do you have to be a certain... Let's go. Another comment here. Do you have to be a certain weight to go diving? No, not at all. We teach from 10-year-old kids, so that's no problem. And I'm a lightweight woman, want to go diving, but scared I'm underweight to go dive. No, well, we wear lead weight. We actually put belts on us with lead weight that make us heavy enough to go diving. Plus, the dive tank is heavy, and no, that's no problem at all. It sounds like you need to do a dive course. Where in Cape Town, so Gentle Inflatables, where in Cape Town are you? And then maybe we can point you in the right direction of a store we know down there.
Yeah. I see Carl has asked, do you do training for salvage diving?
No. So if we talk about salvage diving, so diving itself has got different disciplines, and I'm purely in the recreational side. We teach from open water up to dive instructor, but recreational diving. You then move on into a realm called technical diving if you want to dive deeper and longer. So I do a little bit of that, but not a lot. But what we're talking there, working in the water, that we're call it commercial diving, and that is completely different. Commercial diving is often you fed from the surface, your air, warm water, etc., from the surface, and you physically work in it. No, so that's a totally different discipline of diving, and you would need to do training in commercial diving for that. So that's something totally different.
Okay. And
General Inflatable says she's in Blaubergstrand.
Blaubergstrand. Okay. Well, I mean, beautiful beaches there. I love that part of Cape Town, but we don't do a lot of diving there. It's very, very cold. Your closest that I would say to you is probably who would I recommend that way? Into the Blue is a fantastic store in Greenpoint. So that's not too far a drive for you. Look up Into the Blue, and they are a paddy store, a fantastic store there in Greenpoint, and that's where I would start, for you.
And Greg, I'm a bit of an Oompa Loompa, especially after lockdown. And I'm not going out in the cold, freezing at 6 o'clock in the morning. You must be nuts. So obviously, how would diving affect someone like me, who's obviously not at their optimum fit level?
So diving's it is a physical sport in that while you're underwater and you do burn calories diving, so it's actually quite good. It's quite a good sport for you, but you don't have to be a Chandler Close, to dive. So obviously fitness in life is important, but it doesn't restrict you from diving at all. That's one of the beauties about diving is almost anyone can do it, and it's not a competitive sport. You're not competing. You're enjoying what you do, and so we find the camaraderie in diving is like no other sport out there. Everyone is just there enjoying. It's like birders in Cape Town, twitchers that drive through the Kruger Park or whatever. They have a passion and they enjoy it, and they'll share their experiences with everyone else around them. I see Chad Blicknote in the comments. He's definitely a diver. Alaval Shoal, Raggy's Cave is nice, absolutely fantastic. And then Paddy or Naui, I'm a Paddy instructor, but my first dive course I did was a Naui dive course. So and I've done CMAS course, so I'm a bit of everything. But what do I teach now?
You fit into a wetsuit.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can have wetsuits made for you in any size, so that's not a it's not a limiting factor at all. Yeah.
And Noyalicious says, can people that suffer from seasickness dive?
Yes, of course. So
you don't feel the current as bad as what you would in a boat, right?
No, well, okay. So seasickness plays a role in diving. In that we do spend a lot of time on boats getting to the dive site. So it depends where you go. If we dive into Duana Bay, they've got very short boat rides, and a lot of that you're in the bay and protected. So seasickness is not really a problem there. We have seasick tablets that divers can take, Sturgeon being one of them. And so that's generally not a problem. I mean, if you're diving off the south coast of Durban, the roads are the rides are a little stronger, and maybe those people who get seasick might suffer a bit more. But again, seasick medications do a pretty good job. Cape Town, I wouldn't be. I mean, a lot of your diving there is shore entry where you're basically walking in and diving. So the seasickness is not really a problem while you're diving. It's the boat ride back and forth or whatever. Cape Town, we dive on days where it's really flat, or we're walking in, so not really a problem there. When we dive off the big boats in Egypt, that ocean is so flat. It's not a concern. So you'd pick your dives and you pick your days you're diving. You're not going to go out on a boat when the wind's pumping and it's rocky, and then you're going to get seasick. Then you probably wouldn't dive, and you may choose to go.
Are there implications to doing a sport like diving?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to. there are medical conditions that could exclude you. Epilepsy being one, cardiovascular issues being another, certain neurological issues. So yeah, I mean, there's a general medical statement that we do at the start of a course where we try screen divers, and if any diver has a potential diver has a medical condition, then it's down to a doctor to decide, is there something. So certain medications don't work, are contradictory to the pressures that you exert on you when you're diving. So the answer there is yes. Not everyone can dive. So it depends.
And asthmatic, right?
Yes and no. I mean, I've dived and trained a lot of people with asthma. So it depends on the asthma, depends what triggers it, depends what medication they're on, how severe it is. But some of my best dive buddies are asthmatic and have asthma, and they still dive. So maybe 20 years ago or 30 years ago, it was an absolute no. But over time, people have certainly worked out who's more at risk or not. And so with people with asthma, there definitely is a higher element of risk. So it depends what brings it on, how regular are the asthma episodes, is the medication keeping it under control. So
Okay, and equipment. I mean, you watch a James Bond movie or a spy movie, and they've got this breather, and it looks so cool, and I'm like, yes, I want one of those, and I'm going to go diving. How realistic is that in the diving industry? I mean, are these things available?
Oh yeah, and it's cool. It's as cool as James Bond looks.
Is the technology sort of keeping up? Is the industry... Look, I know look, 5,000 range for your average person is a bit of saving up, over a few months.
Let me break it down. I think I might even have some equipment around me here. So you start diving, the first thing you'd buy is your own personal equipment, what we call soft gear. We break it into soft gear and hard gear. So soft gear being a wetsuit, your own mask, snorkel, and then fins. We don't call them flippers, we call them fins. So a soft gear set. We got various different brands from different parts of the world. We don't sell something that doesn't work. In diving, you don't get rubbish gear because your life, does depend on it. So soft gear wise, on the mask, fin, snorkel sets, anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 rand. A wetsuit, again, between 2,500 and 5,000 rand. For your basic soft gear, and that's the type of stuff you want your own. You don't want to put someone else's mask on your face or get into someone else's wetsuit. Ideally, you would want your own. Then the equipment that you talk about, seeing James Bond wearing, that is what we call hard gear, and that starts off with what we call a BCD jacket, a buoyancy control device jacket, and that's where your dive cylinder would clip onto that. And then you've got a regulator. So the regulator takes from high pressure in the cylinder into a regulator in your mouth, and you can breathe. And then with the regulator comes your alternate air source, which is in case you've got to help another diver with air, and gauges for depth and pressure that you know how much air you got on you. That type of setup is going to cost you between 15 and 25,000 rand there. Yeah, and then lastly, we dive with dive computers. So it's normally a wrist-mounted watch that then tells us how deep we are, how long we've been diving, how long we can still dive, etc. There you're looking at, again, 5,000 to 15,000 rand for that. So yes, it does cost money, but then so does cycling, and so does every other sport you get into. The thing with diving is, and this is different. Let's compare it to cycling. You can spend 50, 60, 70,000 rand on a bicycle, and then every other month you're going to be buying an accessory for that bicycle. On diving, you buy your equipment, you buy it once. You buy your mask, fin, snorkel, wetsuit sets, you buy your regulator BCDs, the dive computer, you spend 30 to 50,000 rand, but you've got it. And you'll dive with that for 10, 15 years. not needing to replace it. A little bit of maintenance and servicing on the equipment, but you got it. And then once you've got that equipment, diving becomes a relatively cheap sport. If you go down to the coast, you're going to spend 600 Rand on a dive. That's in today's time, and what 600 Rand buys you, or 700 Rand, depends. That's not a lot of money. So if you go away for a weekend, you go do one dive or two dives, it's affordable. Is diving expensive? Yes, it is to start. Most definitely. You're going to do your first course. You're probably going to do a subsequent course which allows you to dive a little deeper. You're going to spend 10 to 12,000 Rand, 15,000 Rand on training. You're going to then spend up to 30,000 on equipment, but then you've done it. All your holidays from there. You go to Thailand, go to Mauritius, go wherever. You got the option of diving, and it really opens up options of what you do.
If I may ask, sorry.
Decompression sickness, Greg.
Decompression sickness is real. Okay, and decompression sickness is about diving too deep, too long. So I'm going to try to put it as easy as possible. Yeah. When you dive, you the deeper you go, the more pressure is exerted on your body, and then you're breathing a compressed gas at depth. Your body absorbs nitrogen. So the air we breathe is made up mostly of oxygen and nitrogen. The oxygen our body burns in the process, in our breathing process. We use that oxygen, but the nitrogen is in the inert gas. It just passes into our body and out. So when we dive and we there's pressure exerted on us, our bodies, in our skin, in our muscles, in our bone, in all the tissues in our body, we absorb this nitrogen. When we come back out the water, we're going from a high pressure back to a lower pressure, atmospheric pressure. All that nitrogen that's absorbed in our body releases. Okay, and then it's the speed, it's how much body we've absorbed how much nitrogen we've absorbed into our body, and then how fast that's releasing is whether we are in a safe outgassing period or if we are in risk of decompression sickness. So the deeper you dive, the more nitrogen you absorb. The longer you dive, the more nitrogen you absorb. And therefore, we've got, that's why we dive with the dive computers, is because they work on theoretical models of how much nitrogen we absorb in and how much we would be releasing. And so they become our gauges that tell us, right, you need to go up now, or you need to go up slowly, or you dive in again, you've dived already today, you dive in a second time, recalculates, this is how long you can dive for at the depth you're at. So with the advent of computers, our diving has become a lot safer. So what could trigger decompression sickness is if you dive beyond those limits that the computers tell you, you dive too deep, too long. There are medical factors, if you're dehydrated, if you're ill, that could affect that. And then other things, if something goes wrong and you have a rapid ascent, our ascent from depth is a slow ascent to the surface, but if you had an emergency and you had a rapid ascent, that could be what triggers decompression sickness. So it is real, but I've been diving 24 years. I've dived within my limits, and I've never been in that situation. Have I assisted and helped people that have? Yes. So
what does it feel like? Sorry, Lo.
Well, decompression sickness will manifest itself in many different forms. As the nitrogen releases from your body, it's a gas, it's got to go somewhere. So it finds air pockets, it finds pockets in our body. So the one place could be in your joints. So one of the early signs of decompression sickness could be tingling in your fingers, because now the air is trapping nerves. So as the air is expanding, it's trapping nerves. So tingling in your fingers, localized pain in joints is an early warning sign. But then if it gets worse and it starts affecting neurologically, then the signs can be quite severe. They could mimic the signs and symptoms of a stroke. You could have paralysis, you could have severe pain, you could have loss of cognitive thinking. So there's the risk of paralysis, death, as an extreme. So it's not something we take lightly, and that's what training is about. In your training, you learn how to manage your dive profile so that you stay safe. But it is real. It is real. We have insurances that we take as divers that would then cover the cost of recompression therapy. Like I said, in 24 years, I've stayed within my limits, and I've had my emergencies. We've had them fast descents to the surface, but if you dive conservatively, you'll be fine. You know, that's what training is for.
I see somebody else asked, is it true that surfers and divers wear in their wetsuits?
and why?
Well, they say there are two types of divers: those that have peed in their wetsuits, and those that lie about it. So, you know, if you take the time frame of when you get into your wetsuits, get into your equipment, then get to a dive site, go out on a boat, 20-minute boat ride, 1 hour dive, in water. I will admit that there may be times that you pee in your
Sure, no, you don't know how long.
I'm not going to ask you if you've ever.
I'll say right straight away. I've peed in my wetsuit, absolutely. That's why you don't want to dive in someone else's wetsuit. You want to get your. Yes.
Okay.
So I mean, sadly, I'll raise my hand and say yes, I have peed in my wetsuit.
I wanted to ask. So we spoke about the SpaceX and obviously space exploration, right? So. Yes. They say that this is what I've heard, we've only looked at 3% of the water, the seas, the oceans on planet Earth. Don't you? And I mean, I've been watching lots of National Geographic during lockdown.
A very common thing you hear is we know more about space than the oceans. It's not true. Quite honestly, it's not. We know a lot about the oceans, but the bit that we've only explored 3% of the oceans is true, because the bits that we dive is shallow. It's 10, 15, 20, 30 meters. Sorry, my battery's running low. Most of the ocean is deep. Way deeper than we could ever dream of diving. So we only can. And then the deep bits can only be explored by robotic submarines or submarines, etc. So most of the ocean is way too deep for us to be able to dive deep. So that's true. There's a lot about the ocean we don't know, and a lot of parts of the ocean is just so deep to get to, and we don't have reason to go there.
Other than more fish in the shallower areas, right? Where the reefs are.
Correct. Yeah. So the reefs is where the bulk and majority of your fish are in shallows, but there's interesting creatures down deep that we're learning about every day. So there are explorations going to the bottom, the deepest parts of the ocean, deepest part of Mariana Trench. I think it's 13 kilometers deep. They are exploring it, and certainly there's certain salvage operations that work in. I mean, Titanic, for example, sits 3 kilometers below the surface. We dive in 30 meters, so the pressures down at that depth are huge. But they get robotic submarines and even people in submarines down to those depths. We've had people at the deepest part of the ocean in purpose-built submarines. So it does happen, but there certainly is a lot to explore. There is a lot more to explore. We've got islands. Sorry?
Have you ever personally seen a shipwreck underwater?
Oh, absolutely. We dive on a lot of shipwrecks. That's where Cape Town is great. They've got a lot of shipwrecks. There's a few off the east coast of South Africa that we can dive. But when we talk about diving Egypt, we dive a lot of shipwrecks there. Favorite one, a World War II shipwreck called the Thistlebaum. And it's a World War II shipwreck. It's full of jeeps and Bedford trucks and BSA motorbikes and rifles, and the whole ship is just, and you dive amongst it. It's absolutely. Diving a wreck is different to diving a reef, because a lot of it you actually enter the wrecks and you're now in There's a lot of different rules, and there's different way you even fin through the water is quite different in a wreck. And it is a big part of diving. Once a wreck is underwater, it becomes its own ecosystem. So within days of a ship sinking and sitting on the bottom of the ocean, animals and fish have moved in, and it becomes an amazing ecosystem. So we love diving shipwrecks. We got some good wrecks off South African coastline too, that we dive. Most of the wrecks off our coast are too deep to dive, unfortunately, because the east coast of South Africa, we've got a very, very big, very close to shore is a continental shelf. So we've got a very deep drop off. So a lot of the wrecks that sunk off our coast are too deep. But we do have some that sit in a range that's shallow enough to dive, and it's fun. It's great.
Just name your diving school again. Sorry, I don't know if we've mentioned it.
All right. My business is Josie Divers, and we're on William Nicol Drive. But currently, the store is closed. But you can find us on Facebook under Josie Divers, our Facebook page. And then as well, we do a dive show as well on Monday night. Our dive show is called Dive Time, or Dive Time South Africa, Dive Time SA. You can find our Facebook page, Dive Time SA, and we do a weekly show like this one as well. We talk diving, and that show's been going for almost 1.5 years now. We've done 60.
What days is your show, Greg?
Sorry?
What time and days are your shows?
Our show is every Monday night at 7:10, live on Facebook Live. So you can find Dive Time. All our shows are on that we've done. But they're very interactive. We got a lot of people commenting. It's an international show. The show we do, we have a lot of interactions from all over the world during the show. And so we talk diving. So that's a show for divers, by divers. We have a lot of fun. So those are our two parts that we busy. It's Josie Divers store, and then Dive Time Facebook page where we talk diving.
Brilliant.
I must say, Greg, I watched quite a few of your live Facebook feeds, and I love the part where you talk about the fish. What's it called, a fish finder or something?
We used to call it Fish ID, but now we call it Creature Feature, because not every animal we spoke about in the ocean is a fish. So we kind of broke the show up traditionally into different categories: fish identification or creature feature. We talk about fish. Monday night we're talking about the ugly fish, the ugliest fish in the ocean. Last week we spoke about the prettiest fish in the ocean. We talk about dive destinations. We talk about new equipment that's out. We kind of try to get different aspects. We talk about local travel, international travel. But a lot of it is about the fish and what we see underwater. Yeah, and a lot of divers dive and they look at fish and they don't know what they're looking at. They just see pretty fish. We try to educate a bit, and a lot of people. We hope a lot of people have learned a lot about diving and about fish from our show. Yeah. Like your show,
people shouldn't go near.
There's not many fish that you shouldn't go near, but there are one or two, and we talk about those too. But again, the show is about education and awareness, and we thoroughly enjoy it. We've done over 60 episodes, and
I want to just talk about something. If anyone knows me, knows my Facebook page is full of. I don't know if you know a guy by the name of Rico Barry. You've heard of him? The Code. The Code.
Right, yes.
Right,
okay. Well,
right.
Yes.
So some people, it's a bit of an ugly topic for some, but I'm so passionate about it. I actually went to Sharka 11 years ago, and I thought dumbly and naively that a dolphin's the size of a Labrador. And when their dolphin Gambit came up to meet me, okay, I was allowed to put my hands behind my back and kiss him on his beak. I actually shat myself because I didn't realize how huge he was. And it dawned on me that he's been, he's one of the largest and longest dolphins in captivity. And there's this whole underground business that happens with these dolphins. And I think just like circuses, zoos, and I'm going to say this nearly every live stream that I do because people need to know the difference. Animal conservation is one part of it, sure.
Yes.
But I think people have no ideas. They go to these, and I'm sure there are lots in Thailand. I'm sure there are lots of, you can tell me where they are. I don't know exactly where all of them are.
There's a couple of documentaries you must watch. So, there's one about the killer whales in Florida. I think it's called Blackfish. That's it. You must watch that one if you haven't seen it. And it is true. It's quite sad. We grew up as children going to zoos and dolphinariums, and it's interesting and it's fun, and a lot of it is done in the name of conservation. And is it? I don't know. But seeing animals in captivity, they're not happy. They are suffering, especially things like the killer whales in Florida. Dolphins in dolphinariums. We've all gone to those shows and thoroughly enjoyed it. Is it good for them? I don't know. And I think the world is learning more. We're certainly learning more and being more aware of our footprint as human beings on this planet. If you went to Durban 40 years ago, 50 years ago, we wouldn't, we're not that old yet, but they had whaling stations where they were dragging the whales out of the ocean and slaughtering them there, and the whale blubber was being used for this and that. We learned, hold on, wait a minute, we are taking all the whales out of the ocean, and just incidentally, the whale populations have come back so well. Once we've stopped whaling. Humpback whales off the east coast of Africa is phenomenal to see. And so that's worked, and that's been 20, 30 years of activism against whaling and quite extreme activism in some sides. If you look at Greenpeace and Sea Shepherd, etc. The same is starting to happen with sharks and rays and stuff like that. And then again, the same on our side with, you look at rhinos, you look at tigers, you look at gorillas, elephants. It's really, really sad that it's still happening in our world. That rhinos are getting poached at numbers that are just shocking.
Yeah.
It's
poverty. It's poverty. I blame everything on poverty and education.
It plays a role. I was diving. I'll tell you how far it reaches. It reaches every corner of the world. We were doing exploratory dives. Now, diving, if you get to go exploratory diving, means you're going and you're diving somewhere where no one else dives. And you are literally exploring reef. You're looking for reef. You're diving it. You're finding it. You're mapping it. And we were doing exploratory dives off in Mozambique. Out of a town called Berlin, which is a beautiful place. And we were able to launch a boat out there, very dangerous launch. So why we don't dive there now is because it's just too dangerous just to launch a boat into that ocean. But we got to dive reefs that probably no other people dive, no other humans dive, or haven't dived for 10, 15, 20 years. And you're on very untouched reefs. And then you come across a shark dead on the bottom with its fins off, and this is in a little village in Mozambique, no big town or big village for hundreds of kilometers, and you're finding sharks finned underwater, dead on the reef. And that's when the reach is just everywhere. There's no corner of this world where they don't have that reach, where someone is earning $5 or $10 for the fins of a shark. And not just sharks. I've lived on tropical islands. I've worked on islands where turtles come up to nest and they lay eggs. And you watch that, and it's you truly are blessed to see that happen. And then the next morning, when you go back to that spot, the nest has been dug up and those eggs have been taken out. And there's a restaurant on that island that's selling turtle egg soup.
Oh my God.
You know, it's really sad. But we are learning. The world is learning that a lot of these practices are detrimental. All right, I'm on 5% battery, so if I die...
We're going to wrap it up.
Well, I want to ask you one last question, Greg, because we have been on for over an hour.
Wow.
I don't know if Ruth has a last question as well.
Time has flown.
Yeah. Okay, but I want to ask you something exciting. What was your scariest shark experience?
Scariest shark experience?
Yes.
So we do a type of dive off Durban, which is called a baited dive, where they chum the water to get the sharks in, and you stay in a group quite tight at about 8 meters, and you have about 30, 40 sharks swimming around you, and that is blacktip oceanic sharks in length, and that alone is quite something. But we had an emergency on the beach before we launched, and I went to assist. And so I stayed with someone who was injured, not related to sharks, and they bucked me. And I was fortunate once the ambulance had come and taken care of the person. One of the boats took me out and dropped me on our group that was 10 meters below the surface. But I had to fall off that boat alone and then swim down the soup of sharks alone to get to my group. And I must say, my heart did beat a little faster doing that. And they all around, there's just many, many sharks. I'd say...
Did you ever swim in your life, Greg?
It was... You like going like, this is a little crazy. You know, I do feel a bit Darwinish here.
But you came back with your hands and fingers and toes. So you
I came back with everything, but there was a moment thinking, what am I doing? Yeah.
I see Carl Green asked a question about the Australian flake. Well, he's getting to. Yes, we did speak about it at the beginning of the stream.
I think Carte Blanche did a very good job of highlighting the fact that our sharks are getting fished off the African coast, exported to Australia for flake and chips, fish and chips. And that's happening because they've decimated the population of the gummy shark, it's called there. And now they're looking elsewhere in the world so they could fill up their demand for flake and chips. So we've called out if you watch my shows, I call out the Australians all the time. I'm not scared. You know, I'm saying to you, Australians, stop eating flake and chips, and stop coming to our coastline to take our sharks for your flake and chips. Go eat something else. It's very simple. Go to McDonald's instead of fish and chips for the night.
Well said.
Just before we go, just tell everybody again, so if in case there's new people who's joined, where they can find you.
All right, so easiest is on Facebook. Josie Divers is our store and our club and our travel. Our store's on 100 William Nicol Drive, Santon /Fourways, but it's closed right now due to the virus. We'll probably be opening up closer into spring. We'll open the shop up and get back into training and travel. So Josie Divers for the store for training, and then our Facebook page is Dive Time SA, and that is for our live Monday night talk show on diving.
I'm just posting it on for everybody.
I don't know, Laura, seeing Greg's battery's going to die. Shall we?
I can talk until it goes. It is plugged in, but obviously we're using so much energy. We're using so much energy on the show that it's draining my iPad. The iPad's been used for so many different things during this lockdown: exercise training, Zoom meetings, live television. It just doesn't stand a chance.
Well, I'd love to have you on again, Greg, because I'm pretty sure we could probably go on for another 2 hours.
I've been talking diving for years. No, absolutely. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I probably talk too much if I drown you, if I over talk you guys. But diving, you'll see with divers, diving is a passion. We love to share it. We love to tell people about it and get people to join us. So it's the most common thing we ever hear as a dive instructor from our students is, I've always wanted to do this. And I think there are so many people out there that are like, I've always wanted to do this. It's not that difficult to do, and it's not that difficult to get into. It's about making the decision. I'm going to do it. And at roughly $5,000 for a course, it's not that out of reach for a lot of people. So if you've always wanted to do it, the second most common thing we hear is, I wish I'd done this sooner. So don't sit in the camp of, wish I had done this sooner. Just do it. It's a lot of fun.
Don't live with regrets.
Yeah. Just do it. Just do it. Life is too short to waste time, and just do it.
Brilliant. Greg, you've been a star, man. We hope to seriously have you on again.
You're welcome.
We'll do dive part 2.
Yeah, well, this time we'll try bring some video and some photos, and I can show you the sharks we dive with instead of.
Oh, that would be lovely. That would be awesome.
Great stuff. Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed tonight. I really have. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Excellent.
No, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Great stuff.
Looks like our viewers enjoyed it as well, thoroughly.
No, fantastic. Okay, well, let's
we just
see.
need to get our word out there. And this was a mate of mine said, diving, why would you talk? And I just knew it. It's so fascinating. There's so many topics that lead into it. It's incredible.
The interesting thing, we've been doing live social media for a while now. You can talk about birds. You can talk about white picket fences, and you'd have people interested in that. Interested, and they would join the topic. You could talk about anything, and someone is out there that's interested in it. So absolutely, keep doing what you're doing. It's cool. Fantastic.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Somebody says here. Let's chat again. Please show the ladies the sun for bullshit.
Well, we know that one. Yeah, so there's a bullshit. Yeah, so we talk underwater with our hands, so we have.
I'm going to learn that one.
Yeah, no, we have that. If you said I saw a big shark, then you might say, yeah.
You're gonna have to teach us some of the sign language, Greg.
Oh, awesome.
I'll do that. So the first one is okay. That's the first one. Are you okay? Second one is I have a problem, and then point to the problem. But the main one is this: are you okay? And most of the time we get back, I'm okay. This is up. So we don't say are you okay? And someone says that means you want to go up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. And I'm sure for new people, for beginners, it's normal for people to go like this. Meanwhile, it's the wrong side.
Always.
But with this issue, and I'm not spelling it out because we'll get demonetized. With this, we're flagged. Oh, right. This, we're going to have to start learning sign language because I can't hear putters with this bloody mask. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
So now we're going to all have to start learning sign language. Watch this space.
Well, it certainly is an interesting time. And beautiful part about it, even though we can't dive, the oceans are getting the chance to, and the reefs are getting a chance to take a big breath and do some recovery. So there's an upside to this from the ocean point of view.
The thing
stuff that's going to end up in the oceans.
Well, there we go.
No, absolutely, we have that problem. But maybe there's other stuff that's not making its way there at this time. So
yeah, maybe it's giving the fish and life. I mean, the oceans are actually the lungs. I mean, they talk about the rainforest. They talk about trees and things. The oceans are the lungs of the world.
100% more. There's more oxygen produced by coral reef than forests. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
So
and
the reefs.
You can just plunder, and it will, like an abyss that you can just chuck your crap into. And sorry, I get very emotional. I love the ocean.
Well, I love YouTube because YouTube you can say bad words. You can't do that on Facebook.
Yeah.
We've been into Facebook jail once or twice for saying.
Not
bad
really. YouTube also tends to give you a little slap on the wrist, apparently. So I hope I didn't ruin it for that. But
no, we're not monetized yet, Ruth, so it's fine.
Yeah, subscribe, people. Subscribe. Share with friends, like, and subscribe. And we're going to talk about lots of cool topics. And we'll definitely have Greg on again. So, and listen to his live streams on Facebook. So, awesome stuff. Thank you.
Great
And
stuff.
Greg,
Well, we'll chat.
I have sent you the link. So if you want to post it on your side as well, you're more than welcome.
Fantastic. I will do that. Yeah, I'll post it on our page.
Lovely. Oh, thanks, Greg.
Thanks.
It's been lovely having you.
No, I had a great time tonight. Thanks a lot.
I just want to say this drink, I saw them at my local supermarket. Okay. We haven't gotten sponsors yet. I think they're battling because I saw their price drop to 50%. You've got all the other energy drinks. This stuff is delicious. It's made with propolis, honey, royal jelly, powered by royal jelly and propolis. And it's sweetened with honey. So it's more natural. It's probably got all the same stuff in it, but I think it's fabulous. So yeah, try it. Give it a try. It's called Be Bad.
Someone's not going straight to sleep.
Yeah, no, clearly.
I needed to wake up. That was my problem. But it's good. It's good.
Keep well. Say hi to the family for me.
I'll do that, and we'll chat soon.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Keep well, eh?